What's good? It's your boy D.
Skinny P.
The Beanie Boys are back in town. It's been a while, but we're gonna start making a bunch of more YouTube videos, so keep it locked. This episode, we're gonna do how to breed Panther Chameleons. A lot of people have asked me to make a video, so hey, here it is. We're gonna go through the full process, how to tell a receptive female, how to tell a Gravid female, how to introduce the female to the male head bobbing, full locks, gestation period, which means how long the female is pregnant before she lays her eggs, the signs that she knows she wants to lay her eggs, how to make the egg container, how you put them in an incubator or the closet method, how you deal with hatchlings, what you do when hatchlings first are born. So we're gonna run through all of that. So hey, good luck. The highlighter boys got you, right? Okay. Alright, so when a girl's receptive, you know because she turned this pinkish color or orange color like this, and that's how you know that, you know, she's ready to accept the male. And you want to breed your girls at when they're 60 grams minimum. I don't do it by age. Well, some cams grow at different rates, and sometimes if you wait too long, all their energy goes to growing and then they don't want to breed. So yeah, when you see your girl looking like this, orangey or pink, you know she's receptive. Make sure she's 60 grams, weigh her out, and then you're gonna introduce her into the male's cage. So this right here is receptive, aka DTF, aka she ready right here. Alright, so now I'm gonna show you how you breed the female to the male, the breeding process, the courtship. So right here we have a receptive in Banja, and I'm going to introduce her to the boy. You know, normally you want to introduce the girl to the male's cage. If they're aggressive, sometimes you can, you know, put them in a different cage or on a stand. The boy will be less aggressive, or he will be more willing to breed. And I'm going to go into detail later about, you know, the tricks of how to get the male to breed if he's not head bobbing or doesn't like have any interested girls. I'm going to show you that later. Introduce her to one of the boys. One of our Banja breeders right here. So when you put them in, sometimes the boy could start gaping or the girl could start gaping. You know, if that happens, that's okay. You want to just keep an eye on them. If they start biting each other, then take them out. But you can see right away when a male has interest in a female, he starts head bobbing and starts showing his brightest colors. So she, look at her mouth is open. She tries to bite, and if she does, it will take her out. If not, now that you guys seen what it's like when it's all bad, this is what a successful pairing is gonna look like. Introduce this female right here, the MAC one. These little thicky right here. So if the male starts showing interest in the female, he'll start head bobbing and make like this fast kind of, you can see right there, advancement towards her. And this is important that some people say that, oh, you know, don't distract it, go hide behind the couch or something. You know, you want to make sure you watch that there's an actual full lock, which means that his hemipene goes into her, So when they mate, they can mate from 20 minutes up to an hour, sometimes more. A lot of people ask, so do you just keep them in there? But after they mate, if they successfully lock for the first time, then you take her out, and then the next day you can try putting her in again and seeing if she'll take another, pardon my French, another load. So right now he's mounting her. This is what they do. So they hop on the back. Sometimes they'll grab, with their front arms, they'll grab her by the neck, and then they'll use their back leg to, one of them, to lift up the tail so he can put one of two of his hemipenes in there. Panther Chameleons have two penises, aka hemipenes. As you can see, she's not putting up a fight at all, so she's just totally giving it up. Some girls are gonna be more flighty, a little feisty, but you know, she's ready right here. He has a little stage fright, but he's about to say screw it and just handle it. What's good? So they changed positions. They took it to the floor, which is normal. This is gonna be the ideal front row seats to see if you get a full lock or not. Let's get a read up on this. And you can see right here, that's where his hemipenes come in. He's gonna basically hold the leg with one leg, and then usually hold the tail with the other. Then you'll see the actual hemipene go in, and that's what you want to see. Because some people, they don't look, and then he doesn't actually get it in, and then you're sitting there, she lays infertile eggs. And girls will lay eggs whether or not they're impregnated, so it's just a waste of eggs. So now they're doing the no pants dance. He's about to line it up. We're doing the Mission Impossible right now. So you can see a good look at his hemipene right there. Yeah, like I said earlier, you usually grab him by the neck. I think he's going to grab the tail of one back leg, then go for the insertion. Yep. She's lifting up her tail. About to go down right here. Crazy how they know how to line it up. She's in bed. This guy's getting real aerobic with it. Probably got that full lock. It's getting ready right now. Once he gets it in, it's really in there. So now he's got a full lock in there. You can't really see from this angle. But you'll be able to see one of the hemipenes are in there, his right one. And he's for sure got a lock in there. This right here, folks, is a full lock. So once it's in there, it's really locked in there. So if you were to try to pull him off her, they would get stuck together. So this is gonna go on between 20 to 45 minutes. Well, it's good we out here. It's the post game. They just finished. So after they finish, you take the female out. And you'll see on here that kind of the black marks right here. That's actually how chameleons bruise. And they bruise really easily, and this will go away in like a day or so, so don't worry about that. Ideally, you want to house your females individually. This girl happens to be individually housed. If you do keep multiple girls in one cage, make sure they're sisters. Don't try to put different embanjas for different lines, and really don't put different females in different locales. You're gonna mess it up one day. Say this girl was in a cage with multiple girls, and I bred her to Mac 1. You can either use nail polish or Sharpie. By the tail, I'll just put an M. M1 right there. I always put a little post-it note of the date and the pairing. So today was July 28th. We're gonna put this on her cage. Go right here. So you're gonna put it back in her cage. And now that she's pregnant, you want to make sure she's well fed at all times so that she has enough energy to support herself and the eggs. So now I know she was bred on July 28th with Mac 1. 20 days, you know, start keeping an eye on her, see if she stops eating or starts pacing the floor. But you want to keep checking on her 2 times a week at least and see if she wants to lay so she doesn't get egg bound. And I'm about to go into how you deal with a girl that's egg bound. We out. Alright, so I want to talk about egg binding because that's going to be the big thing that you're going to run into, the big issue you're going to run into having a female. So egg binding means that basically they always are producing eggs. They're in like this little hot dog casing, and sometimes that casing can twist so that instead of the eggs being all lined up ready, it makes like a loop so they can't drop it. So the first thing you want to look for is you put a label in there, she's not digging, she's not doing anything, and it's been a few days. You really want to keep an eye because you have a really small window to do something about it. The moment her eyes start to sink a little bit, you know you have to take her to the vet so that there's something called oxytocin, which they inject inside the arm, which induces labor. But if you don't, sometimes as a breeder, you're gonna run into situations where, say you don't have it, oxytocin on hand, or you catch it too late, you gotta make that difficult decision. And I'll tell you right now, it doesn't get any easier. You have to take the life of the female in order to take the eggs out, because if she dies and you take the eggs out, they're not gonna be viable. So it's a hard decision. I'm not really gonna go into what's the most humane way to do it because there's not really. Egg binding, keep an eye on that. So especially when it gets to the 30 to 45 days and she's not letting, right when her eyes start to sink, you need to make that decision. Take her to the vet. If you catch it too late and her eyes are super sunk, then you gotta make that decision to, put her out and take the eggs out. Keep that in mind, all right? It's your boy. So this right here, this is a gravid female. Gravid means that basically they mated and that she's pregnant. So she'll be, laying eggs soon. But when they are gravid, they get these black bars on top of the pink. At this point, 20 to 45 days as their gestation period, which means that that's how long it's gonna take for them to lay. So right after they mate, know that in about 20 to 45 days, you're gonna need to put a lay bin in. First sign is that she'll stop eating because she's so full of eggs. And the second sign, which she really wants to lay, she'll be really restless and just be crawling on the floor, sometimes on the side of the screen. So you know that you need to put a lay bin in there, and we'll show you what that's like.
What's up guys, Skinny P here, Highlighter Chameleons. So now I'm gonna show you how to actually make the lay bin. So what you'll need is just basically some play sand. You can just pick this up at Home Depot anywhere, and some water. And then you'll need a container big enough for the female to actually fit in. When it comes to assembling the lay bin, you wanna drill a few holes in the lay bin just for when it gets wet or when you're misting the cage. A bunch of water doesn't pile up in there and it becomes too wet. You wanna drill like anywhere from like 5 to 10 holes. So now when the misters go off, you won't have basically a puddle just piling up. Water will be able to drain out through these bottom holes. Take your sand. Again, just play sand from Home Depot. Add your water. Now the perfect consistency will have no more than, when you squeeze it, 1 drop of water will come out. It kind of varies, but you gotta mix it up really nicely. You have to add water as you go. So we'll add a little more water. Just wanna make sure it's very thorough, nice and damp. The thing is, if it's too dry, not enough water, you risk collapse of the sand on her. But if it's too wet, then she won't put her eggs there, simply because she knows that that kind of consistency won't be good for her eggs. And it becomes too much energy for the female to actually dig in the hole. You always want to use a clear container as well, so that way you can actually visually see in the side where she laid her eggs. As you can see, so when you squeeze it, there's a little ball of some sort. But if it were dripping a bunch of water coming out, that would be too wet of consistency. But just a nice damp composure. So once you have the right consistency there, you want to give it a solid pat everything down. So that way, again, so it doesn't collapse on the female, but also so it's firm enough for her to dig the perfect size hole for her to fit in. Go. This right here, perfect formula for your female to lay her eggs in. The only step from here is that you'll need to put a stick right in the corner like that, so that way she has a perfect route to climb into her lay bin. And if you look, this size lay bin is actually perfect just for sliding under the bottom door of the cage for the females. Easy access in and out. And there you have it. All right, so now that we got our lay bin ready, now she may not lay first thing. That's okay, don't be discouraged. So it might take a few days for her to lay, but if that's the case, you can try sort of like plastic or cover over the bottom so she has some more privacy. And if that still doesn't work, then you can also try using a 5-gallon bucket and putting her in that with a heat lamp over it. And again, just sometimes some of the females need more privacy. But now that the lay bin's in there, we can go ahead and put our stick right there, nice and sturdy. So that way she has perfect climbing access to get in there. Back on. That's all she wrote. So now that you got your eggs out, I'm gonna show you exactly how media that they'll stay in for the next 6 months to a year. So here we have Rapashi Super Hatch. Now there's many different substrates you can use, vermiculite, Super Hatch, but this is just really preference. We like this, it works the best. You'll do, if you want a container with no holes in it whatsoever, fill it up about 1/3 of the way, just like these little tiny rocks. Completely submerge it with some water. The whole reason we don't use containers with any holes is because 1, it keeps in the moisture, and 2, it doesn't allow any tiny little gnats or little bugs. Make sure it's all thoroughly mixed. Now you'll just want to shake it up a little bit, just unless it's nice and fluffy like that. And now eggs are ready to go in the basket.
What's up, you guys? All right, so once they lay, they usually lay in the corners of a bin. This is why we keep them clear. She laid it right here. So we're gonna start digging these out. Once we know where they're at, you know, the top part, you know, you don't have to really use much finesse. Right here, that last scrape, I hit egg. So you see the eggs right there. So right now we're gonna start taking them out. So when you're looking at the eggs, you'll know an infertile egg like right off the get a lot of times because they'll be shaped all elongated like a Mike and Ike, and also they'll stay glossy instead of getting their full calcium coating. So sometimes if you see the eggs that aren't fully calcified, they'll have kind of like yellow spots on it. These look fully calcified. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 35. So a 35 egg clutch is really good. I really like 25 to 35. I'm gonna wash my hands and then I'm gonna show you how we put it in the egg container. All right, guys. So some people don't even take off the lay bin media or the sand, but I do because I just have OCD like that. So the perfect amount of water when you want to put on the towel is if you wash your hands, whatever water is on your hands, that's how wet I want the paper towel when I'm wiping it. Because if you rinse them off underwater or you wipe them too hard, it'll take out the outer layer of calcium, which also acts as an anti-fungal, so it helps it so it doesn't mold. So I'll gently just kind of wipe them down like this a little bit. Since it's 35, I'm gonna do a row of 7 and 5. So I'm barely giving it a little wipe down just to take off just the sand. So if you look at this egg, it's a little on the smaller side, but if you see it has a perfect coating, like it's a matte white, nice and oval shape, not too elongated. And Rob showed you guys how to make the egg media container. Shout out Rapashi, sponsor us, we are here. So this is, like I said, really good size, 25 to 35. With our egg containers, I don't put any holes in there. For some reason, you'll get these little clear worms that come up on there, and they don't need the air. By the time that they hatch out, you open the lid one time, that just is enough air for them. Before we put this in the incubator, I put a label on there. Today is August 1st, so I'll put the date. I'll put the locale. So this right here is blue and bancha, so I'll put BAM. Then I'll put the pairing, so this will be MAC 1, M1, times God's gift. And then you can put the clutch number. This is how many eggs, 36. The print. All right, so once we got the label made, print it out, stick it right on there, just like that. 6 to 12 months, these little babies are gonna hatch out. So we're gonna bring these over to the incubator. All right, so I wanna go into a little bit about eggs. You can see how much an egg grows from, this is about, say, a month and a half in to this clutch right here that's gonna hatch any minute. Like they at least doubled, if not tripled, aka bombers right here. But more importantly, I wanna talk about how some people you'll see will mark their eggs, they'll put a dot or like a line on them. The reasoning behind that is so that if the eggs shift, they know what way the egg was up, because wherever you lined it or put a dot on, obviously that's where the egg was facing up. Why we don't do that, because your egg should never move in the first place. So I don't do that. You also need to know that with some reptiles, right off the get, you have to be super careful with the egg, and right when you place it in the media, you don't want to move it at all. With cams, the yolk inside the egg, they don't stick onto the side until like 3 months. So you have 3 months technically before you don't want to move them, because once they stick on the side, the yolk, say it's more like if you shake it like this or they move it, it might break the yolk when it's attached to the side. That's why you see some people shipping out chameleon eggs. You can do that before the 3 month mark. I'm not gonna recommend you go like, put one of your little eggs, but I'm just saying that you can move them around technically in the first 3 months. And that's why earlier when Rob was telling you that we shake them like this, that's so we can like cradle the egg. So that's the most that I do to prevent any moving of the egg. Yeah, big facts. So some people don't use the incubator. This one heats and cools. Yeah, by DBM Exotics, I don't think they make it anymore, but yeah, so put this in there like this. 6 to 12 months, hey, we're gonna have babies. So like I said earlier, once you wait the 6 to 12 month period, that's about how long it takes for the egg to hatch. Usually 6 to 9 months. So at the 6 month mark, you want to check on your eggs maybe once a week. You can keep them in an incubator, or you can keep in a dark place, in a closet. You want it between 70 and 76 degrees at all times. And the number one question I get is, I just had a chameleon hatch out, like what do I do? Well, in this case right here, there's only 2 eggs, and this little guy right here, he's the last one. So most of his siblings have already gone into their cage. At this point, you just basically, you can just grab them out like this. They're super tiny, fit on your hand. Then you go put it with the rest of the siblings. And then, so for this is like one of the first ones that hatch out. So for example, if you have your first chameleon hatch out, a lot of people ask me, when do I take it out? How long do I know until I start taking the other ones out? So basically, once the first one hatches out, you're gonna wanna leave it there for 1 day. Sometimes they have the yolk sac still on, and you want them to ingest that. Resist the urge to push the chameleon out if you see it peeping, pulling it out prematurely, because they have a lot of times the yolk sac that's there that they want to ingest. So once the first one comes out, you want to wait 1 day, because when they walk around, the motion makes the other ones kind of wake up. So after a day, then you can move that initial baby into the cage. And then once the next one hatches out, you do the same thing, but over the next couple days when they start hatching out, you might see 3, 4. At that point, you're just gonna start putting them in the cage. When only 1 or 2 hatch out, you leave them for a day so that it wakes up the siblings. So at this age, look, they can sit on my finger right here, and you can actually sex the chameleon right out of the egg. It's gonna, I can do it very easily. Rob can do it easily. It might take you a second. Basically, you look at the tail base, and you want to have the tail out completely straight, probably where it's walking. Sometimes you can put a piece of paper behind it, but a male will have a more flush tail base. It'll be hard to show. We'll show a photo later, right down here. But a female will have like a divot, so that it looks like the tail, a smaller tail is connected to the body. So I can tell right here this is a boy. And also another thing is, a lot of boys have bigger heads than females. But even at this age, you can see like he already has some barring, a little color. Yeah, they're super cute. So from here, so I see this is Mac 1. Okay, you already know Mac 1 times lime purple mist. So we're gonna go bring this little boy to his nursery cage. Right here, Mac 1 times lime purple mist. And they'll kind of grab anything. Woo. So just be careful you don't drop them. And then you just get the little guy. Put him up in there. And I put a little carrot in there because, you know, when I put pinhead crickets, sometimes the pinhead crickets will eat your chameleons at night. So you want to put some food in there so that, you know, the crickets eat the carrot, not your chameleon. And at this age, you want to give them flightless fruit flies, high-eye, not the Malagaster, and smaller crickets. And we'll show you how to, you know, make the fly cultures and all that too. What's good? We out here. This is our nursery rack. Shout out Dragon Strand. These are the nursery cages. I don't think he really makes them anymore, but these are like the perfect size for hatchlings. You see the width is only like the size of my hand right here. So right here I match it up. I put the date they hatched to the date that they laid, and on here I put the date that they hatched. So this one obviously already there's a few that hatched out, so we're just gonna put the rest in there. It's like a little more. Boy's the OG right here. Boy. Okay, this is a weird one. Look at he came out ass first, so his head's still stuck in there. In this case, I could give it a little push around because he should come out the other way. Do gently, softly. There you go, buddy. Just right here. Female. Over here. And then now I'll throw some fruit flies. There's a couple left in here, so the clutcher's not fully out. You know, it can take from a few days to even a few weeks when all will come out. But I feed them flightless fruit flies and pinhead crickets. So this is one of our baby cages full of cams. So you can see it's kind of a circus, and it's not unusual. You'll see that they're like little monkeys and they'll just climb all over each other. But you can see right here, this is kind of how you set up your baby cage. You want smaller branches, a bunch of decor for them to grab onto. Some people say that, you know, you should use a heat lamp. We do, you know, there's more than one way to do it, but that's kind of a little baby cage for you right there. What a do, you guys. Hey, I hope you guys learned a little bit about breeding chameleons. A lot of people ask me, so hopefully you learned how to tell a receptive female, gravid female, how to introduce the female to your male, how to dig out the eggs, what to do when the eggs come out, how the girls lay, how to incubate them, all that. Make sure you subscribe and like this video. We got more coming. And send us a message if there's a certain topic you guys like. But you know what it is. It's your boy D.
Skinny P.
C Money.
The newest member of the Highlighter Gang. And you know what? We out here, boy.